Spring trends are everywhere right now, but a lot of the spring trends and promises for a fresh new start you're being sold are just future regret and clutter in disguise. And I can't be the only one who's noticed that every single year, the same cycle keeps repeating itself over and over again. People hop on the spring trend bandwagon faster than you can say Easter Bunny and go crazy buying a bunch of this trendy stuff, only to end up decluttering it because it's out of fashion or not trendy anymore a year later, and then the whole cycle repeats itself all over again. So in today's video, allow me to de-influence you by sharing 10 spring trends to avoid in 2026 if you want to save money, reduce clutter, and to stop falling for the same seasonal shopping traps. Starting with number 1 on this list, which is clothing in bright colors, pastels, or florals. Every single year, it's the same song and dance when it comes to the spring color palette. Suddenly, stores are filled with butter yellow, mint green, lilac, coral, and every floral pattern imaginable. Honestly, it's so predictable, and yet every single year, brands and influencers will try to look for new ways to sell you the same old story.
What else?
Well, they're showing a lot of florals right now, so I was thinking I could
Florals? For spring. Groundbreaking.
And actually, I just want to make it clear that I don't have anything against these colors, and I'm sure that there might be 5 to 10 people out there in the world who look absolutely amazing in these colors. But there are also a lot of us out there who put on butter yellows and mint greens and immediately look like a slightly unwell Victorian ghost. And I'm not even saying that every single item that you own has to be in a color palette that's flattering or complementary to your hair and skin and your eye color and whatnot. And there is something to be said for buying clothes that you like simply because you like the color and enjoy wearing that color. But speaking from personal experience, I would say 99% of the time when I've gone outside my comfort zone and purchased a color that I would consider to be outside of what's flattering to my skin tone and my hair color and my eye color, those items only get worn a handful of times. And the biggest clue that a color might not be a good fit for you or your wardrobe is if you've bought and owned one of those colors in the past, only to later declutter them. That is data, that's an experiment, and that is information that you can use to guide your future purchases. I myself used to fall into this trap so many times in the past, and I would think maybe this time is going to be different. Maybe this time will be the time I'll actually wear this color. But like the saying goes, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And if something didn't work for you in the past, it probably won't work for you now just because it's trending. Another clothing item that I've seen trending for spring 2026 is clothing with lace accents. So we're talking lace sleeves, lace hems, lace scarves, and basically lace panels wherever you can put them. And while it can look pretty in theory, in reality, these lace pieces can be extremely hard to style, especially if you're not somebody who already has lace items in your wardrobe or leans towards a more whimsical or romantic style. And then another thing I'd like to point out about lace is it's a little bit high maintenance and finicky. It can get wrinkled easily. It can discolor with time and age. Lace edging snags easily and can get torn. And often these lace items end up getting pushed back into your closet and tucked away because they feel a little bit too delicate or a little bit too special occasion to wear them frequently. Now, if you're someone who values the artistry and the romance of lace and you like owning and caring for these pieces, then that's totally fine. But as for me, as a minimalist over the past 10 years, I've made it a policy to try to keep high maintenance fabrics like this out of my wardrobe as much as possible because it helps keep my life super simple. So before you go out and buy any of these lace pieces that you see trending, or you see some lace clothing in a store and you're tempted to buy it, try to think of your wardrobe and think of the other items that you would pair those lace pieces with, and see if you can create a handful of outfits and consider what occasions you would feel comfortable wearing those pieces. And then you can decide if it's worth spending the money on those items or not. Okay, moving away from spring clothing trends for a moment, let's talk about number 3 on this list, which is picnic paraphernalia. Because every single spring, it seems like the internet suddenly collectively decides that we all need to become professional picnickers. Suddenly, everywhere you look, there's wicker baskets, cozy picnic blankets, and charcuterie boards for you to take to the park. And don't get me wrong, all of these things are super cute, but ask yourself, when was the last time you actually picnicked? Because I've noticed a huge trend of people buying these aesthetic lifestyle products that get used once or twice and then spend the next 5 years taking up space in their closet, gathering dust, which suggests that a lot of these items are more of a fantasy self purchase versus something that's rooted in your actual values and lifestyle. This is something that I've actually been talking about a lot recently in my de-influencing, minimalism, and frugal living videos, which is that before you go out and buy a new product to achieve a certain lifestyle or look, try to see if there's anything that you have in your home already that you can use instead, and try to implement the habit of that thing into your home or life first. And then if you find that you actually enjoy it, you have the time for it, and you can make it a habit, then you can go out and purchase new or secondhand products for that thing. But trying to buy your way into a new habit or identity is rarely effective. I actually de-influenced myself from making this mistake a few years back when we were living in Germany, because we went to the store to get my kids some school supplies and saw these adorable picnic baskets that they had out on sale, some of which were hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And we do have a picnic blanket that we've been using for now, I guess my oldest son is 13 and we've had it since he was born, so it has to be about that old. But then I was thinking, wouldn't it be amazing if we have a picnic basket for that? But then I thought to myself, let's see how often we actually go out picnicking with food to the park. And I use another basket that we earned for free at our local grocery store instead. And what I found was that we didn't actually go that often to justify purchasing a brand new specialty wicker basket. And whenever we needed to go, we just used that instead. I've learned the hard way that just because something looks good doesn't mean it's a good fit in your home and life. And a lot of those fantasy self purchases end up as clutter and buyer's remorse later. And if you want to find out more about that, be sure and go check out this video on 7 rules for de-influencing yourself, where I talk about looking for proof of concept to be sure that something is going to be a good purchase. Another trend I'm seeing everywhere right now is the spring break haul. And I don't know who needs to hear this, but you actually don't need to go out and buy a whole bunch of brand new outfits and swimsuits to go on spring break. You can use the things you already have. You know that, right? And yet, everywhere you look, people are sharing these massive spring break hauls with new swimsuits, new sandals, new cover-ups, new bags, and entire new wardrobes. And a lot of them are from fast fashion retailers like Shein and Temu. And then even within this trend, there are subcultures and micro trends. Like one trend that I've been seeing people sharing a lot lately is something called bikini baskets, where people collect all of the bathing suits that they have and put them in this basket or bin and then dump them out on camera. And it's just insane the amount of swimsuits that these people have. I mean, at this level of overconsumption, not only is that enough swimsuits that she could wear a new swimsuit every single day for the entire summer, but if she wanted to, I think this girl could pull off wearing a brand new swimsuit every single day of the year. That's how many swimsuits she owns. So here's another girl pouring out all of her swimsuits from a what looks to be a rope basket onto her floor and then showing it off to everyone. I can't resist. I just have to open the comment section and see if I'm the only one who thinks like this is crazy pills, the amount of swimsuits that these people own. Okay, so the first comment that I see here under this video says, need a try on haul with over 5,000 likes. And that person seems to be on board with it. But then the comment that I see right under that, the person says, I literally have two. And that comment has almost 10,000 likes and 20 replies. So I guess there are some people who also don't think that this is a normal amount of bikinis and swimsuits to have. Another comment says, I have 4 bikinis. Another person says, I have one I bought 2 days ago because the other one broke. I'm really glad that I opened the comments and saw that most people down in the comments were agreeing with me. And it was kind of a palate cleanser to all of that rampant overconsumption. But I think this is a good reminder that influencing is not reality. And there's absolutely no reason that someone would need to go out and buy and own all of those swimsuits, nor would they need to go buy an entirely new wardrobe for what's probably only going to amount to 5 to 7 days out of your life for the entire year, considering how long the average vacation lasts. Watching videos like that normalize these massive spring break hauls and turn this kind of overconsumption into something that's aspirational and fun and playful is exactly how a 1-week vacation can easily turn into hundreds, if not thousands of dollars wasted on stuff that's, in all honesty, just going to end up shoved in your closet for most of the days of the year. So don't let haul culture try to convince you that every single trip or vacation means that you need a new wardrobe reset, because that is not normal. And speaking of massive hauls, another overconsumption trend I see getting repeated every spring are these Easter and spring hauls full of the trendy new home decor pieces. Buying too much holiday decor is one of the fastest ways to fill your home with clutter and waste a ton of money. And I know spring is super tempting because there's all of these adorable bunnies and cute little chicks and pastel wreaths that are in all of these bright and exciting colors, Easter garlands, glass eggs, and candles shaped like carrots. And I totally get it, especially as someone who lives in the suburbs of Chicago and who goes through a very long, dark, and cold winter. I really find it exciting to see all of these bright colors and these adorable creatures as home decor every single year after enduring the long, cold winter. But I also know seasonal decor has a hidden cost because it's something you only use a few weeks out of the year, if that. Because you're probably not going to want to have glass eggs or bunnies with ribbons around their neck on display in your home year round. And so that means all of that stuff has to be stored somewhere else in your home the rest of the time. And not only do storing all of those items cost money in the money that you spent on those items to begin with, the storage containers that you have to use to store them, but they also cost you in other ways. They also take up valuable space in your home, as well as cost you peace of mind by adding visual clutter to your life. Nowadays, as a minimalist, when it comes to holidays, my philosophy is less is more. And I find that it's often helpful for people to hone in on the memories and the traditions that they found most meaningful and nostalgic for them when they were growing up. I know that a lot of us, especially us moms, want to make the seasons and holidays feel special for the rest of our family, but at the end of the day, most of us aren't going to remember the decorations. What we're going to remember are the traditions and the special times that we spent together. Another trend that shows up every spring without fail is the explosion of limited edition seasonal collections. You've got things like Jellycat plushies and Starbucks cups and seasonal merch drops. And companies are absolutely brilliant at this because it taps into scarcity marketing. And they use trigger words like limited release, limited time, and limited quantities that triggers a little voice in our brain to scream, if I don't buy it right now, I'm going to miss out forever. But the bottom line is that these products are designed to create urgency and boost profit margins and not necessarily to add value. Because if you think about it, taking the Starbucks cup, for example, at the end of the day, it's a reusable cup. how many do you actually need? And if you find yourself falling into the trap of buying seasonal collectibles every few months, only to regret it and wish you had your money back a few months after that, it might be time to ask, am I collecting things because I love them and because they add value to my life? Or am I collecting them because a marketing campaign told me to? Trend number 8 on this list is clutches and mini clutches as everyday bags. And I feel like a hater for saying this, but aren't clutches and mini clutches just wildly impractical for the average person? And a lot of these clutches aren't even big enough to hold the bare necessities like your phone, your wallet, and your car keys, let alone those little extras and things that you might need for emergencies, like granola bars for your kids when you go out, or your library book that you want to take with you on the go. And don't get me wrong, even though I know they're wildly impractical, even I still feel the temptation to buy these clutches sometimes when I see them, especially the ones that are shaped like cute and odd things like pigeon bags or pickles or whatever might be trending at the time. I almost fell for this one a while back. Let me see when this one was trending. Bamboo clutch bags. Were those trending back in 2017? Is that how out of date I am?
Handbags of the past. The Cult Gaia Arc Bag. Though it was created in 2013, the bag didn't blow up till 2016, when fashion influencers flooded our social feeds with it.
I remember when these little bamboo clutches were everywhere, and I was so tempted to buy it. But even back then, I was like, I don't think that this is practical, and I don't like the idea of people being able to see my stuff inside of there. And I was so afraid that if I were to ever actually go out in public with a clutch, I would set it down somewhere and then forget it, because that's how my mom brain is after having 2 kids. What can I say? If you find yourself tempted by the clutch trend, I would suggest that you take a purse that you already own, maybe one that's on the smaller side, and see if you can tuck the handles or the strap down inside of that purse and try carrying that around throughout the day to the various places that you're going, and see if you like that before you jump on this trend. One of my favorite minimalism and frugal living mantras is that anything can be useful, but nothing is useful if you don't actually use it. And most people are going to need a bag or a purse that holds more than one stick of chapstick and a hope and a prayer. Number 9 on this list is milkmaid dresses. And I have been seeing these come back every spring for the past several years now, maybe back as far as 2020. And I think they were originally popularized back when the kind of cottagecore movement was going on. And since then, it's moved from being called cottagecore dresses towards milkmaid dresses. And they look absolutely beautiful on certain people with flowy fabrics and puffy sleeves and little bows or corset tops. But in real life, a lot of people buy these dresses because they want to buy into that romanticism and fantasy and wear them once or twice and then never touch them again. I actually tried on some milkmaid dresses the other day when I was at Target getting some B-roll for one of my videos that I was doing about deinfluencing. And it was a good reminder to me as to exactly why I don't like wearing that style of dress. Because not only does it not fit my personality and my sense of personal style and what I find comfortable to wear, but I felt that I also didn't really have the assets, shall we say, to properly fill out these milkmaid dresses. So I just had to laugh at myself when I was trying those on in the fitting room. It was really hilarious. And one complaint I've heard people say is when they bought these milkmaid dresses, they felt a little too costumey to actually put into their regular rotation, and then they were just saving them for special occasions. But then for a lot of the special occasions, it wasn't necessarily something that you would want to wear a milkmaid dress to, and you would want something more formal. So then they didn't even work for those. So before you buy into the milkmaid dress trend, ask yourself if it's something that actually fits your personality and your sense of personal style, and if it's something that you can actually put into your regular rotation. And if not, it might be a trend that you want to opt out of for 2026. And finally, the last trend to watch out for on this list is the analog bag. And this is something that I've not only seen trending for spring, but I think that is also going to be a trend that continues for the rest of the year. And in case you're not familiar with this term, analog bags are basically bags that are filled with things like books and journals and games and crossword puzzles and other creative hobbies to help you spend less time on your phone. And when analog bags first started trending, they even got called the antidote to doom scrolling. But as with most things in our modern society, no good trend goes uncommodified. And the moment that companies and brands started taking note of this analog bag trend was the moment there was a huge marketing push towards it. I actually did a deep dive into the analog trend in my last video, along with some tips and ideas on how you can slow down and actually enjoy analog hobbies without overconsumption or wasting money. So be sure and go check out that video here, or I'll see you next week. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.